Was a rumor that you almost had RFK Jr. as a potential vice president.
No.
Okay. Just a rumor.
Yeah,
and
no, I like him. I've always liked him. But
yeah, I like him too. Bobby and I are friends. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
He's in there pitching. It's tough. It's a two-party system, and he's a third party. It's a tough thing. He can't get registered now in New York. I see New York, and the Democrats have really opposed him vehemently. I haven't, but the Democrats have really opposed him.
So you think he should be allowed to run everywhere?
Well, the laws don't allow that.
Okay.
And the laws don't allow, unless you have 15 or 20%, whatever it is, they don't allow you to debate. You don't have to debate, so you can't get on the stage. You can't. And the debates are very important. I mean,
clearly, Donald Trump is not going to say, I'll give you a cabinet position if you give me an endorsement. But he's been working for RFK's endorsement because RFK represents, I think, an old guard of the Democratic Party that was patriotic, that was actually very supportive of American workers, and that unfortunately isn't very welcome in today's Kamala Harris-led Democratic Party. So I've been working to get RFK and the people who support RFK to support the President Trump's campaign.
Well, as we head toward November tonight, NBC News is reporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plans to end his campaign and endorse former President Donald Trump.
Well, that's sure to be a plot twist if it happens. Remember that RFK Jr. initially wanted to run as a Democrat, but he was pushed aside as President Joe Biden was running for re-election. But since he was also ousted from his spot, Trump is now left to deal with Vice President Kamala Harris. And guys, before we get started, please take a second, make sure you're still subscribed. Thank you so much for sharing these videos on social media. And I really appreciate you guys always hitting the like button. You guys are phenomenal. Kennedy's possible endorsement doesn't necessarily mean that he's becoming a Republican. Although many Democrats are now switching parties because they believe that 4 more years with these policies in place would ruin our country.
Why are you voting for Trump?
All right, young lady, I'll be happy to answer that for you as somebody that is a former Democrat. I'm a 2-time bone cancer survivor. I voted for Obama-Biden in 2008 based on Obamacare. And then when Obamacare was implemented, I promptly lost my insurance. I could not keep my plan. I could not keep my doctor. That put me in a tailspin of losing insurance. And then on top of that, I got penalized for not having insurance that I could no longer afford. Now, that was pre-Donald Trump political career. That had nothing to do with Donald Trump. That had to do with the Democratic Party leaving me behind, even though I voted for them. Now, come along to 2016. Donald Trump campaigns on getting rid of the penalty for no insurance. And he did that. Helped my family out and me specifically. Then he campaigned on tax cuts. He did that. I got a tax cut. My employer got a tax cut. My employer then gave all 200,000 plus employees raises because the tax burden on them was less. Now, ironically enough, that company was Costco, a very liberal company that backed Hillary Clinton in the election. Not only did they give all employees raises, which mine was $3 an hour back in 2018, they raised the minimum wage from $12 an hour to $15 an hour, because they specifically said the tax breaks. Donald Trump delivered on that. And there wasn't a single Democrat that voted for you and I to have more of our own money we earn. One of the people that cast a vote no was a senator from California named Kamala Harris.
With Americans that are going through hardships like these, you would think that the DNC would prop up policies that would help us in our lives, right? But it was more of the same stuff that we've already seen with the Harris Waltz campaign. Celebrities and musicians performing while big-time Democrats tell us that Donald Trump is bad for the United States of America. Just for the first day of the DNC, Donald Trump's name was said almost 150 times. They mentioned the border, I believe, 3 times. Around 6 times for inflation, and around 4 mentions of Ukraine. Nothing was said about food and gas prices. No plan was introduced to help solve the border crisis. And even with Biden and Harris being in office for so long, they're now trying to convince us that the next 4 years will be the years that they actually solve the problems that they've created. Remember that President Joe Biden has been in politics for almost half a century, guys, and Harris has done everything that you can think of just to rise through the ranks. Apparently, or at least allegedly, she's done the unthinkable, as somehow she's obtained the nickname Knee Pads Harris. But despite all of these things, they continue to argue that everything is Donald Trump's fault. Now, just to give you guys an idea, within the last 5 presidents of our country, 3 of them were Democrats who were in office for 16 of the last 2 decades. And yet everything is being pinned on the last administration. And I guess this is why even RFK Jr. is having second thoughts. He understands that his party is blaming this one guy for the problems that they themselves created. But here's the shocking part. Governor Tim Walz, he went out and he spoke at the DNC, and this is what he had to say.
Leaders don't spend all day insulting people and blaming others. Leaders do the work. So I don't know about you. I'm ready to turn the page on these guys. So go ahead. Say it with me. We're not going back.
Now, I believe that the only person who's not going back is RFK Jr. because new reports are showing that he's ready to drop out. Trump believed that he had a chance to beat Biden in the primary, but says that Democrats have not been so good for RFK Jr. at all. His running mate, Nicole Shanahan, is also considering backing Donald Trump this coming November. She says that there's only one party that has obstructed a fair election for us, and fortunately, it was the Democratic Party.
We walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah, not an easy decision.
So this opens up the possibility that Kennedy Jr. is provided a spot in Donald Trump's cabinet. But of course, that's not a sure thing, as was said by JD Vance. Although this is a huge deal because it is possible that it would drive his supporters over to Trump. But what do you guys think about this endorsement if it does happen? Will it spell even more trouble for Kamala Harris? Or is it possible that RFK Jr. simply backstabs Donald Trump? Now, switching gears here, it's been a long time since Donald Trump got shot. It was a huge event that could have changed the direction of this entire election. Not to mention the world if a former president of the United States was assassinated on US soil. But it feels as if mainstream media wants us to forget that this ever happened. Now guys, I did a previous video where Donald Trump was safely rallying behind bulletproof glass. But he did the unthinkable and went outside of this bulletproof glass for the most insane reason. Make sure you guys check that video out right after this one because it's not something that happens every day. As always, appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much for hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and for sharing these videos on social media. I'll see you on the next one.